Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bracketology Update, the only video you guys wait for nowadays. So let's get it underway. But first, I need to update the fan bracket. Of course, this is the Bracketology bracket template that you can do yourself. This template that I'm showing right now is available to everyone. Who did you guys pull in? Oh, y'all think Rutgers will beat Houston? I actually don't hate that pick. But also, if you want to make your own template, you can just select everything and then copy paste into a new Google drawing. But I'm gonna update it here. This is the new template. I'm gonna take the drop shadow off. So yeah, you guys go have fun with that. But I'm gonna give you my my update and picks. New AP poll came out today, and there was some shuffling. There was definitely some shuffling in this AP poll. New number one is Houston at 25-2. I would say deservingly so. You can maybe argue for some other teams, but they've been playing really well. They got a win over Memphis this past week, and they haven't lost in February. They haven't lost in really a long time. Since that loss to Temple on January 22nd, they've been a hard team to beat. Alabama comes in at 2. They did lose this week at Tennessee. That was a tough game. Tennessee had lost some games. They needed a win badly, and they showed out against Alabama and did take them down for a win. Number 3, Kansas, who looks stronger and stronger as the days go on. They were down big against Baylor. I don't know how many of y'all watched that Kansas Baylor game. Baylor was up big in that game, and I was looking and I'm like, Baylor might be a national title. Baylor might be the favorite for the national title. They were up 45-32 at half, and then Kansas outscored them 55-26 in half two. It was a massacre in that second half, and Kansas gets the win. I'm telling you, you can never count out Kansas when they're down. I mean, Kansas, the amount of times where they've been down and come back, it's so many. They did it in the national title game, for Christ's sake. So they are a tremendous team, Kansas. UCLA comes in at 4. They continue to beat up on meandering Pac-12 teams, and they're 23-4. At 24-4 is Purdue. They suffered the loss to Maryland on Thursday, and they lost to Northwestern earlier, so they had lost 2 in a row. When was my last bracket? I need to see when my last bracketology is to know what games I have discussed and haven't discussed. But they have Purdue as a 5, which technically speaking would take them off the 1 line if they're 5. I still have them on the 1 line. If you ask me, I think they're better than Alabama. I don't think Alabama, if you're taking those 5 teams, which is Houston, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, Purdue, which is what people have said are the 5 best teams. If you had to pick the odd one out, I think it's Alabama. I think that UCLA and Purdue are both better than Alabama. I think Kansas and Houston are for sure better. Alabama did beat Houston earlier in the year, but that was a long time ago. So I wouldn't put too much value on that game. Although Alabama did beat them on the road, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that game. I think those teams are just better. On the 2 line, I have Arizona, Texas, Baylor, and Alabama. I think this is fair. Baylor had been looking like one of the best teams in the country, and then, of course, had the blown lead to Kansas. They play at Kansas State tomorrow. That'll be a very good game. Texas continuing to play well. They got a win in overtime against a desperate Oklahoma team. They did lose at Texas Tech though. Texas Tech is doing their damnedest to try to make a tournament case, but they kind of fell behind everyone early. Like I said, Alabama's in there. Arizona continuing to play well. After they lost to Stanford, they got 2 wins over Utah and Colorado. So we'll see how well they fare. Guess everyone else can't. Arizona, UCLA are going to be jockeying it out for the Pac-12 regular season title, which currently standing, UCLA has a game and a half lead on in conference play. So we'll see how that ends up faring. 3 seeds: Marquette, Kansas State, Virginia, Tennessee. Tennessee's going through it. They've lost 3 of their last 4, but the one that they did win in those 4 was against the number 1 team. They lost. They kind of got massacred at Kentucky. This game was not really close. Kentucky controlled it from the start, and that's a sweep. Kentucky beating Tennessee in both games they've played against each other this season. Tennessee, when they're on, but when they're off, they can lose to anyone. They might be a team that either gets upset or goes far. They have a really good defense, but their offense kind of lags. And when your offense is lagging, it allows subpar teams to kind of stay in games. They are at Texas A&M this Tuesday, and that is a matchup against 2 teams that are 20-7. A&M also now ranked, and they're second in the SEC. People need to start putting some more respect on A&M, I feel. They were the number 1. They should have made the tournament last year, got snubbed. And now they're second. They had some really bad losses earlier in the season, but they've been winning a lot of games, man. Put some respect on Texas A&M if you're not already. Marquette continuing to control the Big East. They currently have Marquette is leading the Big East, and then there are 3 teams that are 1 game back. Those 3 teams that are 1 game back are Xavier, Providence, and Creighton. So, will anyone catch Marquette? I don't know. They have 2 easy games coming up against DePaul and Butler, who both have losing records. And then they end the season at St. John's. Realistically, or they end the season home against St. John's. Realistically, is Marquette going to lose any of those games? I would say no. Marquette definitely probably going to win the Big East regular season title. On the 4 line, we have IU, Gonzaga, Xavier, Miami. We could talk about Indiana real quickly. They did lose at Northwestern. That was a weird game, man. IU kind of got down a lot early because of Trace basically getting mugged and no fouls being called. But still, they weren't making shots. Mike Woodson got a technical for not knowing when to shut up. They get down big. They crawl all the way back and tie it with 20 seconds, and then Boo Buie hits a game-winning floater off of what really was a push-off. But it's kind of a here or there call. Anyway, IU lost. And then they came out against Illinois and played kind of the same way. They were down for a lot of this game. Illinois took the lead with 9 minutes to go in the first. IU was trailing all the way until 30 seconds left when they took the lead and then held on to it with some great defense at the end. Their defense really showed out in the second half of that game. That game was fun. While I was waiting in line to go into the game, a guy recognized me, so shout out to whoever that was. He commented on the video I made about that game. So shout out to whoever that was. Matthew Meyer, man, the transfer from Baylor, that dude could not miss, bro. He could not miss, but ultimately Illinois toting the L in that one. Gonzaga, they continue to win. Since that loss in overtime against St. Mary's, they've won 4 in a row, and none of them have really been close. So they're starting to play a lot better now. Miami, the A people is finally starting to respect Miami. I don't know how many of y'all watched the Duke-Miami game. Miami beat them 81-59. I thought I was about to sneeze. TCU Kansas about to come on, by the way. This is that big a game. They took it to Duke, then they beat Louisville, and then they won at North Carolina. And speaking of North Carolina, I don't know if they're going to be in the tournament conversation much longer. Miami, they're a real streak. If they get out, if they're hot, you're not beating them. I mean, they have one of the best offenses in college basketball. They just run it and run it and run it and run it. They're a really good team. I'm high on them. Let's say we just make some picks, shall we? And we can talk about teams as we get to them. Let's do it. Houston and UNC Asheville. I will take Houston. Illinois, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's an interesting team. They kind of started the year slow, but went on a stretch in the day. They don't have a very great overall record, but like they have some decent wins, and they're keeping pace with everyone in the Big 12 standings somewhat. They're 7-7 in conference play. They are currently getting massacred by West Virginia, a team that's also in need of a win. So that's not a good look. I don't know. Illinois looked pretty good when I saw them at IU, even though they lost. I will take them. Iowa State and Charleston. I don't really know what to think of. I've said this a million damn times. I don't know if Iowa State's good. They lost at Kansas State, but they beat TCU earlier in the week. But then they lost to Oklahoma State. Losing to Oklahoma State at home and losing to West Virginia. I don't know. They're on a rough patch now. I think that the March Madness official tournament rankings had them at a 3. That's bullshit. I don't think they're that good. I'm taking Charleston. They've been a trendy kind of lower class team. I like their chances in this one. IU, Utah Valley. I know Utah Valley's got a good team, but I think IU should be okay there. Duke is starting to look better. Duke did not have a great start to the year, but I mean they're just as good as anyone else in the ACC, and they're starting to look a lot better. I will take them. West Virginia, I didn't update this before the games or whatever, so they'll probably be moving up maybe a little bit. They're gonna now be 16-11 with a massacre win over Oklahoma State, so we might have to move West Virginia up. Marquette and Furman, I will take Marquette. Marquette's looking really good, man. They've for sure been the best team in the they've for sure been the best team in the Big East. I mean, yeah, they have some tough games here. They play Creighton Tuesday. Ooh, that's gonna be a good game. Marquette at Creighton tomorrow. That could decide who wins the Big East regular season because everyone's currently a game behind Marquette. So if Marquette wins that one, will eliminate Creighton and pretty much seal that up. So we'll have to see. San Diego State, Auburn. I'm definitely going to take San Diego State. Auburn's been looking pretty lackluster this year. I've been disappointed with the way they've been playing. And I'm going to take Arizona over. Arizona's that kind of team where if they play their best game, if they come out and they play really well and they're passing the ball and they're moving it and they're playing well, there's very few, if any, teams that could beat them. But when they don't play well, they can lose to anyone. They have some clunkers of losses this year. I mean, they have a loss to Stanford. I mean, they have a loss to Oregon. They have a loss to Washington State. But also, they have the ability to beat pretty much anyone. So, I don't really know what to think of them. UCLA and Howard. I'm definitely going to take UCLA. Iowa and Pitt. So how have these teams been looking? Well, Iowa is currently 17-10. They just lost at Northwestern. Northwestern's looking better and better every day. I have them at a 6, I think. Just because I know that the committee's going to disrespect Northwestern. Northwestern should probably be a 5 or even a 4. They're the second best team in the Big Ten. They've beaten pretty much everyone there is to beat in the Big Ten. But I know for a fact the committee's going to disrespect them and underrank them. I just know it's going to happen. Other than that, Iowa had been playing well. They beat Illinois at home. They beat Ohio State. The only losses they have this month are to Purdue and Northwestern. They've been looking better. As for Pitt, how has Pitt been looking? Pitt is currently 3rd in the ACC. Virginia is in 1st at 13-3. Miami is a half game back. Pitt is 1 game back. I'm going to take Iowa, but I think the ACC race is going to be interesting because Pitt's been looking decent. How's Pitt been playing this month? They did just lose at Virginia Tech, but before then they had been playing well. They had the win at UNC. They beat Louisville. They beat Florida State. Beat Boston College. They've been playing well. St. Mary's and Drake. I'm definitely taking St. Mary's. For sure. Miami, VCU. Like I said, I love Miami. I've been up there all year for them. They made the Elite Eight last year. So, I mean, they have Final Four potential. That's just a fact. I mean, they do have Final Four potential. So yeah, Miami. NC State, I was impressed with them. They took it. They had a close game against UNC, and then they broke that thing open at the end. They were ranked. They did lose at Syracuse earlier in the week. They're 2-2 this month, but they did lose to Virginia. I don't know. They've been looking good. They're 21-7. I mean, they had some good wins earlier in the year. They beat Duke by 24. They beat Miami at home in overtime. They split with UNC. I mean, they've been playing well. My NC State, good team. Tennessee, I think, would beat. I would hope could beat Iona. Not if they keep playing the way they have been. I'll take Maryland over Arkansas. Here's the thing about Maryland. I don't know how good of a tournament team they'll be. I know they're a good overall team. I know that for a fact. They maybe even should be ranked. They have some votes to be ranked. The thing with Maryland is they are unbelievably good at home. They're 14-1 at home. That only loss being to UCLA. But they're awful on the road. I mean, god awful on the road. They lost to Nebraska on the road this past weekend. I was very disappointed, but they're just so good at home. So how are they going to play at a neutral site? I don't know. Arkansas, I mean, they've been iffy this year, but I think Maryland could win. I'll take Bama over UMass Lowell. Kansas, I think, would beat the winner of Youngstown State and Fairleigh Dickinson. Rutgers would beat Missouri. I think Rutgers is just so consistent. I don't know about so consistent. I'm saying, like I said, I don't know if anyone's even that good this year. I mean, they're 17-10. They've had a rough. They're going through a little bit of a rough stretch. After beating Michigan State, they lost to Illinois and Indiana this week, and then they lost to what's called. They had lost 3 in a row. They lost to Indiana and Illinois, and then they went out and lost to Nebraska. Nebraska's really trying to make a tournament run. I mean, they're 14-14. Worst teams have made the tournament. I mean, they're trying their best. But yeah, I still think Rutgers is a good team. Missouri, I don't really know about them. It's like they're 7-7 in conference, right in the middle of the pack with even some non-tournament teams. They got monkey drug by Auburn, 89-56, but then they also will go out and beat good teams. I just don't know with them, dude. I just don't know. They're 19-8. I'll give them a benefit of the doubt and keep them at a 9, but I think Rutgers would win. I'm taking Kent State over UConn because UConn has been way too inconsistent in conference play. They're lagging behind some of their Big East foe, and they just haven't been keeping pace. They're 9-7 in conference. Like I said, those 4 are ahead of them. They're 20-7, but I don't know. Kent State trendy upset pick. Look out for them. I'm going to Southern Miss is good. Southern Miss I think is like 24-6, but I think overall I'm gonna have to take Gonzaga. They've been looking better. Like I said, in my years of doing brackets, I will never pick Gonzaga to win a national title until they actually win one. But I'll take them to beat Southern Miss. I will take Creighton over FAU. Creighton started the year pretty poorly, but they've been. I mean, they're making a run at that Big East regular season title, and that was something that I didn't think would be in the question earlier. I mean, their only loss in February is in double overtime to Providence, and I don't know if any of y'all watched that game, but that was a great game. Truly a great game there. They've been running through teams. I'm going to take Kansas State over Morehead State. Pretty easy. I'm going to take Providence over Memphis. Providence has been looking pretty good. And then Texas, I think, will beat Princeton. I'm not going to hold that Texas Tech loss over their heads too much. I mean, that's a big rivalry game, at least for Texas Tech fans. And, you know, they needed a win badly, and they got one on the road. What are you going to do? Purdue should win against a team with a one-armed player. I love Hansel Emmanuel. He's great. But Northwestern State's not beating Purdue. Kentucky. has gotten back into the tournament conversation. After they got murdered, murdered at home by Arkansas, and then lost at Georgia, and it's like, okay, they might not make the tournament. They were sitting at 16-9. Well, they picked up 2 good wins this week at Mississippi State, a game they desperately needed to win. They got it, and then they went out and they beat a top 10 Tennessee team at home. They needed both those wins, and they got both those wins. And the rest of their schedule, at Florida should be a win. Home against Auburn, I would like their chances in that game. Then in March, it's home against Vandy and at Arkansas. At Arkansas will be tough, but I think Kentucky will make the tournament. They still got Oscar Tshiebwe. How's he been playing this year? I haven't heard much about him. I know he was hurt for portions of the year, averaging 15 points and 13 rebounds. If Nevada's a decent team, but I think Kentucky would win. Could we have a Zach Edey Oscar Tshiebwe matchup? I don't know. Maybe. That's something I think could be dangerous for Purdue if Tshiebwe is able to match up with Edey. We'll see. Ooh. Oral Roberts is in Oklahoma, ain't it? I think it is. So that's kind of a Southwest little showdown here. I don't know about TCU. I was real high on them in the preseason, and they had a ton of players hurt. TCU's battled through a lot of injuries throughout the year. They did just hang 100 on Oklahoma State, and currently Kansas is up 7-4. I don't know. I just don't know. My thing with TCU is the defense hasn't been great. A lot of high point value games here. I don't know. This win at Kansas that they have, they're playing Kansas again, but this 83-60 win they have at Allen Fieldhouse is particularly impressive. Oral Roberts, I know they've been playing great, but they're 0-4 against Quad 1. I'm going to take TCU. Maybe against another team, Oral Roberts could win, but I don't know. I'm as high on Oral Roberts as the next person, but TCU's got a good team. I'm actually going to take Eastern Washington. They are undefeated in conference play. That's not something that a lot of teams have. They are running very hot right now. And Xavier's, they got a good team, but I don't know. They lost at Butler. They're not immune to losing to bad teams. And Eastern Washington's not a bad team. I'm for sure taking Northwestern, dude. They are not to be trifled with right now. Not at all to be trifled with. That's all I'll say. Virginia, actually no. I'm going to take Colgate, and there's a specific reason for this. And it's because Colgate is a really good three-point shooting team. They like to snipe it from behind the arc. What does Virginia run? Pack line defense. What's pack line defense mostly for? It's to prevent driving in motion. Well, that don't work if you're going to spot up from behind the arc. Ask UMBC. Ask UMBC how they beat the pack line. They spot up and they just jack threes. It's what Colgate likes to do. This is what they like to do. I'm taking A&M over Michigan State. A&M playing real well, and then I'll take Baylor over here. So that's the first round. How long are we at on this video? 23 minutes. I hope y'all saved some time throughout your day. Okay. I feel like since the top 20 is kind of real congested for college basketball, I think the second round could get crazy this year. Let's jump into it. And I'm going to start off fast. And I'm going to take Illinois over Houston. And the reason being is it's a revenge game. Of course, Houston knocked out Illinois last year. Houston beat Illinois. And I know Houston is going to be feeling the pressure of having the Final Four in Houston. They're going to be under so much pressure to get there. And I don't know if they're gonna make it. I mean, they're a great team. They're ranked number 1 for a reason. But ask yourself this: Is Houston a good enough team? Are they think of teams in the past that have been the #1 overall team and have lost early. And ask yourself, is Houston that much better or even as good as those teams? And I think your answer would be no. This is not me trying to hate on Houston. It's just, I don't know if they're Final Four. I don't know. I know they're a good team. I know they got a squad of players. But I don't know. I don't know. I think IU could beat Charleston. Obviously. I'm going to take Marquette over Duke. Just because Marquette's looked really good. And then I will take Arizona over San Diego State. UCLA over Iowa. This would be an interesting game. I think Miami would just play too fast for St. Mary's. I know St. Mary's likes their defense. I just think Miami would just run too fast of a pace for them. So I'm going to take the Hurricanes. I will take Tennessee over NC State. And I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about taking Maryland over Alabama. I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's really worth doing. Just cause Bama's got a really good team. I mean, they have the win over Houston. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna take Alabama. Okay, next we have definitely Kansas. They're good. They're good every year. And then Gonzaga will beat Kent State. Creighton will beat Kansas State. I'm sorry. I just think they're better. And they're more well-rounded. Kansas State really relies a lot on Keontae Johnson to carry the load for them. And I think Creighton's a little bit more well-rounded, so I'm going to take them. And then Texas will beat Providence. I just realized you're not supposed to have a 1 and a 2 seed from the same conference. So I goofed that. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to switch where Arizona and Texas were. I just think it's the most logical thing to do. Because I don't want to have the team from the same conference. It's just, you're not supposed to do that. I kind of... Hold on. I did not think this through. Hold on. Sorry, guys. But yeah, Texas and Arizona are two terrific teams. That is definitely something that they are. My bad, y'all. I know it might not matter to you, but people in the comments will be like, "Oh, well, you're not supposed to have two teams next to each other." I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm doing my best here, but yeah, it kind of annoys me when I see that. I do my best to try to avoid conference matchups, or also matchups that happened like earlier in the season, like Houston played Virginia earlier in the year. Like I can't have that matchup in the first round, so there's that. This is annoying me that this is taking so long. It's the stupid drop shadow. The drop shadow makes everything kind of laggy, but it also just looks a lot cleaner. Man, I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it. I just don't know how good. I know I've trashed Purdue's role players. I do think they're better than Kentucky's. Kentucky doesn't play around Oscar Tshiebwe well enough. Purdue does it way better. I think TCU would beat Eastern Washington. And then I will take Northwestern over Colgate. I'm telling you, man, Northwestern's looking good. And then Baylor. Baylor, easy. Okay. IU has already beaten Illinois twice this year. I don't see why they couldn't do it a third time. So I'll take them. Ooh, Shaka Smart versus Texas. I don't know. I will say this. I think Shaka Smart is going to want to get some revenge against Texas. That's just all I'm going to say. Of course, I think Shaka Smart was either fired. I think he was fired from Texas. Yeah, he's going to want some revenge. I'll take UCLA. Real good team, UCLA. And then I will take, once again, same. All right, I'm not changing it again. I just don't feel like it. I'm going to take Tennessee. Yo, I do my best to avoid same conference. I promise you I do. And then I will take Kansas. Um, didn't Creighton play Arizona earlier in the year? I think they did. I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, Arizona won by 2. Give me Creighton just because they're gonna fix their problems for that game. A lot of times that'll happen. All right, I'm gonna take Baylor over Northwestern. I just don't think Northwestern will be able to hang in this game. Baylor's just more talented. And then up here, when fully healthy, TCU is real good, man. When they're fully healthy, they're real good. I will be taking TCU. Okay, Final Four time. I will take IU over Marquette. I just think IU's definitely better than Marquette. I think they can for sure win this game, especially when IU has also been playing without Xavier Johnson, and they really haven't needed him. But I will say that Northwestern game kind of proved how they needed Xavier Johnson because a lot of dribble drives for Northwestern, and in the Illinois game, kind of. They were letting Illinois and Northwestern's guards drive to the lane very effectively. Um, Xavier Johnson will help prevent that. That's the one real thing that he's going to add, and it's just going to bring IU together very nicely. Xavier Johnson should be coming back pretty soon, I think. So, IU is my first Final Four team. I mean, people got mad at me when I picked them to win the national title. Like, all right, you biased. And it's like, well, yeah, it was, but let me have my fun, man. I'm taking UCLA. Mick Cronin's got a good squad, man, and they've been to the Final Four as an 11 seed, so they are they're very good and a team that really should not be trifled with. Oh, I feel like every year I pick UCLA to go far and they don't do anything. Like last year I picked them to go to the Final Four, they didn't do shit. Like when they had Lonzo Ball, I picked them to go to the Final Four and they got knocked out early. Or not early, I think they lost in the Sweet 16 to Kentucky. I don't know, I just feel like I always pick UCLA and they don't do anything, but I'm just gonna do it again. Let's go down here first. I'm gonna take Baylor. Definitely Baylor. I mean, I know they blew the big lead to Kansas, but they did also get a big lead on Kansas. They're a real good team. Um, they're as good as I think any team out there. I mean, LJ Cryer, Adam Flagler, Keontae George is a baller. Watching Keontae George in that Kansas game, I was like, holy cow, this guy can ball. He's a player, man. Keontae George might be one of, if not the best freshman out there. And then Kansas Creighton. I don't know. I got this voice in my head saying Creighton. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if it's just because Kansas goes down a lot and they might not always be able to come back. I don't know. I got this voice in my head that's telling me to. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. Baylor did beat Kansas at home, and Kansas beat them at home. So they split. They each beat them once. I don't know. I really don't know, dude. It's just because it's March and anything can happen. Just this voice in my head is just crawling at me to take Creighton. So I'm gonna take Creighton. If you want to hate me for it, go for it. I just have this feeling about. But Creighton's also another team. Creighton's also another team where I feel like I pick them every year and they get knocked out early. Screw it. We've made it here. We've made it here. I mean, Creighton's got some ballers, man. They got some ballers. I mean, they really look strong, dude. They've won games in a variety of ways. All right. I'm done justifying this. All right, Final Four. I'm going to take UCLA. I'm not going to take IU again. Y'all hated that, and I do think UCLA is better. And then on this side, I'm going to take Baylor over Creighton. To where this is our national title matchup. I just realized my camera may have been. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. This is my national title matchup. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I've been really high on Baylor. I just have. That second half they had was awful though. Watch it. That was hard to watch. And then the thing about UCLA is, I mean, they're good, but are they national title good? These two did play in the regular season, and Baylor won by 5. I did not realize that. So I'm going to go back to my old logic of the team that lost is going to win because they're going to fix their mistakes they made. I am taking UCLA to win the national title. That's my bracket. It's going to change come next week, and it's going to change come March. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time. Peace out, everyone.